We got some juicy details coming out leaked by Autocar, really, the web magazine about this car, Rimac Concept Two. So we're going to talk about it in just 1 second. Now, Rimac is a company that's really a battery supply company to other exotic cars, but they've already had pretty good success. By the way, it's a Croatian company. Out of all countries, that's like the last country you would expect to have this amazing technology coming out of. But it's very successful with its batteries. It obviously makes it in a limited amount because it's also limited amount production cars, but it already had its own car called Concept One that had a pretty good range, 210 miles, kind of a supercar, over $1 million in price. I mean, this is a really exotic cars, only 10, I believe they made them. So now they're coming out with a Rimac Concept 2, and a lot of people are saying this could be a competitor to a Tesla second generation Roadster. Now, Gabrielle in the chat room is asking me if I've ever seen a Rimac in person. I have not, but this is the reason this picture is kind of a grainy, because this is from their teaser video that I'm going to show you right here. You can't really see much. I froze that frame, the best frame I could find, and just kind of photoshopped it so you can see a little bit better in details. But that's all we know. Again, they'll unveil it pretty soon. Anyway, so this time around they're putting a little bit more effort into it. I probably shouldn't put effort, but they're gonna do more with this car. March 6th is when they're unveiling it, and this is the picture I photoshopped. So originally they had a 90 kilowatt hour battery in their Concept One. They're gonna have a 120 kilowatt hour battery now, and they kind of say, yeah, it's gonna be longer range, but range is really not important, which is true, because these exotic cars, people don't take them on long distance trips. They actually don't even take them to trips, right? They're like, just drive around here and there. They're gonna have a track version also, by the way. This time around, they're gonna make 100 of them, which is 10 times better, more than they've had before. And they're going to start production this year. They're looking to sell 20 of them in the first year. Now, is that going to be able to compete with Tesla Roadster second generation? I would say no, for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's going to be even more expensive than $1 million, right? The price tag is going to be ridiculous, where Roadster is $250,000. So they're kind of in different price ranges, if you ask me. Obviously, 100 of them are going to be made, I'm assuming Roadster is going to be made at least a few thousand, The original Roadster was a 2500 production, well, -1 in space now. So that's I think they're not going to be able to compete there, and also, of course, the battery is just not going to be that big to be able to probably output as much power. Roadster, the Tesla new Roadster is going to be 1.9 seconds 0 to 60. So now, Rimac has always done well with performance, so it's definitely going to be a car that's going to be in demand, but it's in demand by other people. People who collect cars, they're millionaires, have a lot of money to spend. They have, car collections, so it's exciting for them, but it's really not for the masses. Not that the Tesla Roadster is. Anyway, so that's one thing they're going to have, the leaked information, that 120 kilowatt hour battery. Also, they're going to have level 4 autonomous driving, and this car is in production this year, so hopefully in the press of technology. And I actually didn't really expect a car like this to have autonomous driving, because I'm assuming people who are going to be buying them would want to drive the car themselves. So that's interesting that they have a level 4, but nevertheless, I'd love to see how it performs. If it's how does it compare to Tesla's? How does it compare to Waymo and Cruise Automation one that's owned by GM? So there's some interesting stuff that I definitely would love to see about the spec of this car. So I'm not really excited about it as a consumer car, but just excited to see what technology it's going to bring. Let's see. Looks more like Angry Alien, says Varun, but I think that's how the sports car is supposed to look nowadays, right? I think the latest Lamborghini looks that way too. Let's see. Howdy from Lake Dallas, Texas, says Kevin. How are you? Welcome to the show. All right. Are you thinking Nikola One can make a name over electric vehicles? Asks Ali C. It's really tough to tell when a company is going to make a name for themselves, right? Because a lot of the concepts, a lot of this photoshopping, if you will. Anybody can do this, really. I mean, a company with like a relatively small investment can do. So if they, it's all about whether or not you can take this to production, right? That is the biggest step that any new company, startup company, or a small company has as a challenge. So it's really hard to predict, and I really don't want to. Ben says level 4 will have to be proven before I use it. Absolutely. I mean, that's, and don't forget, you can always take control of the wheel. So, I mean, I definitely would love to try it. Anton, out of the t-shirts you've designed already, I know I haven't been wearing my t-shirts as much lately. I will, but if you want to see all of the designs, that's in the description of this video. You can always check it out. I think they're, you know, kind of funny. By the way, check out the description for another thing, the referral link to Tesla, so you and I can do this, get behind the wheel of a Tesla Semi. All you have to do is actually not, you don't have to buy a Tesla. All you have to do is enter your email address for their newsletter, and we'll all be entered into a drawing to do this, to have this experience together. So I really appreciate it. And once you are in the description of this video, grab your own personal discount code so you can save a few bucks when you're shopping with our sponsor, Avanex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla. All right, let's move on to a new story, which is actually, you know, stories like these, they are not sexy stories, but this is a very important story, right? Because so BMW today announced that they are already almost ready to sign some partnerships with lithium and cobalt production companies, where they're going to assure that the supply chain goes all the way to mining those two components that are major components for the lithium-ion batteries. And there looks like they're going to be signing like 10-year deals. And this is, you know, this Fred at the electric.co said this, and I absolutely agree. You know how serious a car company is about producing electric cars, judging by what they do with their batteries, right? Like, you know, obviously Tesla partnered up with Panasonic, build their own gigafactory. Recently, Mercedes announced that they've investing ridiculous amount of money in building their own battery production around the world. So, you know, they're serious, and BMW jumping in. BMW is behind on this one. Just in general, electric cars, I know they have they've been selling i3 for a while, and they've sold a good amount of them, but I think overall everybody kind of knows that this is still compliance looking kind of car with a compliance car type of a range. Everybody expects a little bit more at this point from BMW, so hopefully this is a step in the right direction. So just like I said, not a sexy news really, but definitely huge news if you think about what's going to happen with the BMW. And I hope this is their thing. This is where they're going to get into the game. Varun in the chat room says, have you heard of the NIO EP9 supercar? I have. I mean, supercars are there, like they're really nice toys, but again, they're not for us. They're not for regular people. What excites me about NIO though is their car that's coming out in China right now. What is it called? ES8. And it's going to have a battery that you can lease. It's going to have a swapping, I believe, battery technology. They're going to be able to come to your place of work and charge your car, and it's going to cost like around $40,000 without the battery. So I'm actually excited about what they're doing with their SUV, the new SUV that's coming out, rather than their supercar. Derek says, give Alex a big thumbs up, share and subscribe to this channel. Absolutely agree. You beat me to it. I appreciate it. Definitely give a thumbs up to this video. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and click on the subscribe button down below and the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. But most importantly, become a part of this community. All right. Let's see. I believe that these big car companies, says Agent RR, can be the real challenger for Tesla, as they have the capital and the plans already. Absolutely, I agree. But what they don't have is talent, right? They still have to hire people who can do the stuff very well. And of course, they don't have a supercharging network, though they are catching up in Europe, where BMW is one of the investors into one of the biggest growing fast charging network there in Europe, called Ionity. I literally just covered it for the last couple of days. All right, guys, let's move on to comment of the day. And believe it or not, we're gonna go the entire show without talking about Tesla. Well, we kind of did about the Roadster, right? So can't really avoid that. But all right, it comes from Claudio, and he says, and this was a conversation about you know, the incentives and rebates, whether it's fair that all this for the Tesla and SpaceX, all these Elon Musk companies get these incentives from taxpayers. And, you know, I've already told you guys what I think about most of it, how it's really just incorrect to say that. But so he says that I understand that Tesla wants to, and now this one we're talking about the Model 3 being delayed, their $35,000 version, and selling more expensive ones, and Tesla ability to have their customers get the tax rebates here in the United States is going to be phased out. So those people who are going to be buying the cheaper version of the Model 3 probably will be buying a little bit more expensive version because they can't get that credit. At least they'll only get it as it's being phased out. So anyway, Claudio says, I understand that Tesla wants to sell the most expensive cars first, but it seems unfair that the people that can afford the more expensive cars will also get the tax break, whereas the people that need the tax break to afford the base model won't have it. I think there's a little bit of a misspelling there. Okay, anyway, so there are two things to this question, right? To my answer. First of all, one is philosophical, right? Who should get the taxes back and stuff like that. But the first one is about Tesla selling their more expensive versions first. And, you know, for Tesla, listen, they are a business, right? They're a publicly traded company, and they need to make sure that they do right by their investors, right? Investors is everything to them, then customers. Yes, of course you have to please customers to please investors, but it's kind of a vicious circle sometimes, right? Okay, so they need to make sure that they just spend ridiculous amount of money, billions and billions and billions of dollars. Well, I'd probably say it, shouldn't say it so many times, but a few $1 billion on creating this Model 3 production line and getting into production. So now they need to make sure that they start getting that money back. And the way they do it is by selling more expensive versions, because the profit margin there is higher. So they need to do it. So first of all, you got to understand that, yes, Tesla is going to sell the most expensive versions. They're not going to do lease on those. It's going to be purchase only, because they need to recoup their money that they spend on it. So that's just business. And they've done it with the Model X, they've done it with the Model S. So that's just, that it shouldn't even surprise you. So that's one answer. Second one, as far as just philosophical answer about who should be getting these rebates. Here's the thing. Fair is a funny thing, right? Because yes, it would help people who have to go for the cheaper Model 3 to have the rebate. But what would be fair is really for people who paid most in taxes to get that money back first, to have first dibs on the money that they paid more than other people. And so usually rich people pay more taxes, a lot of times by far, than regular people like us and like everybody else, most of the people in the world. And so, to be honest with you, if anybody deserves to get their money back, are those people who put a lot of it in. So that's kind of a philosophical answer to that question, but I thought it was a really good one to talk about. So that is definitely something that we'll probably continue talking about it. Varun in the chat room says, lots of European viewers annoyed about the importance given to EV rebates in the United States. This topic is talked about way too much. Varun, I have to say, here's the thing. When we're talking about the Model 3, that's where the topic is here, because Model 3 is being sold right now in the United States. The success of the car and all of the sales are in the United States, and it is a bigger issue here. And this is why we're talking about it. Once Model 3 is being sold in other countries, of course, we're going to talk about their rebates, as we do usually. We don't talk about Model S and Model X rebates because that's kind of worldwide now. But, you know, this is a worldwide issue, really, the rebates here in the United States. So I'm sorry we talk about it too much, but it is something that will define the future partially for the Model 3. Alex, he says the design of the EV tax credit in the US is wrong. There are a lot of things that we've done wrong with our taxes, so, and a lot of other things, but that's a whole different channel for that. Well, Ego Kid says the people who are on a lower salary should get bigger rebates. Well, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people would disagree with you, because a lot of people who have lower salaries pay less taxes. So they shouldn't get those money back. Is people who pay more taxes should benefit from their own. Alex Z, and this is the last comment I'll read. There were huge rebates on clean cars in the United Kingdom, is what I know. Probably in other countries in Europe as well. Yes, most European countries and China and Canada have all really decent rebates. So that is, it's just we don't talk about it as often because they're not being phased out for Tesla like they are in the United States. All right, guys, this has been another fun show. We ended up talking about Tesla anyway, but I'm excited about Rimac. Once again, I hope you have a great Monday. I will see you tomorrow, and remember to stay charged.